The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It is Good Friday on Fat Meat Friday. Today, some 2026 or so odd years ago, Jesus of Nazareth been tried, convicted, and hung on a cross. This seminal event in human history has driven so much of modern Christian thinking, global thinking. Wars have been fought, people's lives have been changed, countries and civilizations have come and gone all around the witness of Jesus of Nazareth. There is probably in human history no witness more powerful than that of the Nazarene carpenter. And so, in this hour, with none other than one of the most prolific theologians and thinkers in Christianity, Bishop Joseph William Tolton, president of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa and the diaspora to confront threats to democracy, human rights, and self-determination, will be our very special guest. Bishop Tolton is the founder of the IC Justice Affirming Elders Council, a transnational alliance of African and African American faith leaders, scholars, legal experts, and civil society advocates working alongside Gen Z organizers to challenge the global rise of white Christian nationalism. Bishop Tolton has advised the U.S. State Department on faith-based engagement, led faith-rooted resistance to anti-LGBTQ legislation in East Africa, and brings a powerful blend of theology, policy, and global organizing to today's conversation. He is a graduate of Vassar College and Columbia University Business School. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays.
It is so good to be with you, my dear brother, and a happy Good Friday to you.
Bishop, we are an unarmed people through most of human history. Our sense of resistance, our sense of fight back, our sense of collective justice, if you will, largely is spiritually based. Our witness and our claim to a superior moral authority largely tied to a Nazarene carpenter. We've put all of our eggs, and I say this with profound reverence, in that basket. How powerful, from your perspective, was the ministry of Jesus of Nazareth?
The ministry of Jesus of Nazareth was absolutely transformative in that the Jewish people, the gift that they gave to the rest of the world was that they understood the unity of God. They understood and had a concept of monotheism, whereas other peoples and tribes that surrounded them served what was called the unknown gods, or gods that were statues, or gods that were actually built by man, or they served the many gods. The Jewish people understood the concept and the idea of God as one. I think it's important to lift that up because sometimes there is confusion about, did God look upon all of his people and selectively choose the Jewish people to be a distinct people unto himself? The answer to that is categorically no. But in fact, it was the Jewish people who had a particular understanding of God that gave an insight that could then be shared with the rest of the world. The problem was that in order to get into the faith, you had to be born into the faith. The issue was that the faith and the culture of the Jewish people were completely intertwined. And that meant that this gift of monotheism would be unavailable to the rest of the world. In enters Jesus the Christ. Jesus enters into the life of the Jewish people while they are under colonial rule. The Roman Empire stretched from northern Africa to what we now know as Turkey. There were many different people who were living under the oppressive rule of Rome. Jesus lifted up a message that whosoever will, let that person come, therefore offering spiritual unity among the colonized. Jesus knew that that sense of spiritual unity would create a political platform whereby which they could coalesce, and together they could challenge empire and challenge their oppressors. But what it meant was that the Christian faith was now offering the beauty and the glory of God as was understood by the Jewish people, but it was now available to all because cultural norms and a religious insight or relationship with the Christ were now separated. And that's what Jesus was able to do. He went global long before the internet, offering all people the possibility to sup from and drink from the chalice of his love, despite your color, despite your ethnicity, despite your age, your class, your status, or your sexual orientation. So the work of Jesus Christ is magnificent in that he created for the first time an opportunity for a global community to sup together, eating from the same table of spirituality while not having to lay down the specifics of their cultural beliefs and practices. That is transformative and monumental.
With just a minute or so before we come forward, Bishop Tolton, because you touched upon so many critical elements of understanding the legacy and the ministry of Jesus of Nazareth, it seems that Howard Thurman positions Jesus's ministry as a ministry for a people whose backs are against the wall. Bishop?
there's no question that that is the case. The Jewish people were, in fact, a people who had for 400 years gone without the fresh stream of the prophets flowing. They had gone 400 years seeing their glory diluted, seeing their military power come undone. The scribes and the Pharisees were very much so concerned with themselves and self-aggrandizement. Jesus came and transformed all of that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the great Bishop Joseph Tolton. I want you all to know you're going to hear a lot of preaching on Sunday morning, but you're not going to get this lesson unless you're right here on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward with Bishop Joseph Tolton in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guarantee. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on this Good Friday, on Fat Meat Fridays. I'm particularly honored that my very special guest in this hour is none other than Bishop Joseph Tolton, president of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa and the diaspora to confront threats to democracy, human rights, and self-determination. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Blessings to you, dear brother.
Bishop, I don't know many people for whom I can take a deep dive into why we do what we do, why we fight for justice, why our Christian praxis, the way in which we conduct ourselves in Christianity, is so much different than people around the world. And so I spent a little time on a little bit of scholarship, and then I would like to really leave it to you to help sort through what I believe is my discovery. On this Easter Sunday, I turn my attention to 3 pieces of correspondence that have defined modern Christian thought, reflection, and action. Let me be clear. Modern Christian thought is largely the byproduct of a contribution of African American thought, action, and ideas of the 20th century. Our Christian behavior has impacted white Christian thought, including white Christian nationalist thought and action, and its domestic and international behavior, and held it to a higher moral standard. In short, it is undeniable that white Christian behavior has had to adjust to our witness. But I pride myself in our knowing that it has an origin in our praxis. The correspondence was exchanged between 2 men, first, who never met. A third man who carried the spirit energy of a people to India and communed with the great soul and ultimately to our king. It would be W.E.B. Du Bois who wrote Gandhi a letter offering him the opportunity to write a brief word of hope for the Crisis magazine. This appears to be the first correspondence between an African American and the great soul. W.E.B. Du Bois first wrote to Mahatma Gandhi in May of 1929. As editor of the Crisis magazine, Du Bois requested a message for American Black people seeking to connect the struggle against American racism with India's anti-colonial movement. Gandhi responded with a, quote, love message, quote, urging American Negroes not to be ashamed of being the grandchildren of slaves. Du Bois aimed to build solidarity among the darker races of the world and find moral inspiration in Gandhi's nonviolent resistance. Gandhi's reply stated, let not the 12 million Negroes be ashamed of the fact that they are grandchildren of slaves. There is dishonor in being a slave owner. In May of 1929, Gandhi responded, and the letter read, let not the 12 million Negroes be ashamed of the fact that they are the grandchildren of slaves. There is no dishonor in being slaves. There is dishonor in being slave owners. But let us not think of honor or dishonor in connection with the past. Let us consider that the future is with those who would be truthful, pure, and loving. For as the old wise men have said, truth ever is, untruth never was, love alone binds, and truth and love accrue only to the humble spirit. Signed by M.K. Gandhi, Sabarmati, 1st, 1929. From my perspective, Bishop, Gandhi missed the point. Du Bois did not reference slavery in his letter of May 1929, for the Negro was emancipated on January 1st, 1863, and the 13th Amendment was added to the Constitution in 1865. Nor did Du Bois ask Gandhi to write an article about the so-called resulting shame of the lingering slave mentality. Gandhi's truthful, pure, and loving future for Negroes during the longest period of Negro lynching in American history signals either a tone deafness or outright ignorance to Du Bois's sincere request for a word of encouragement during Jim Crow. Du Bois in 1929 understood that the 13th Amendment was passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865, and added to the Constitution on December 6, 1865. It was officially certified on December 18, 1865, abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude throughout the United States. He further understood that the 14th Amendment was passed by Congress in June of 1866 and added to the Constitution on July 9th of 1868. The amendment granted naturalized citizens, including formerly enslaved people, equal protection of the laws. This argument was heard before the United States Supreme Court just 2 days ago. And lastly, Du Bois understood that the 15th Amendment was passed by Congress on February 26, 1869, and officially ratified and added to the Constitution on February 3, 1870. Du Bois was asking for some words of encouragement for the Negroes current crisis during Jim Crow. Du Bois continued to follow Gandhi's work closely, later addressing a formal letter to him again on October 28, 1931, that invited him to share a statement with the crisis. The letter reads, "Sir, some time ago, through an intercession of my friend, Mr. Andrews, you kindly sent the Crisis magazine a short statement. I am enclosing a copy of it. I write to ask you if you will not again send some message or statement to our Negro people. We are 12 million in number. We are legally American citizens. We are descendants of the slaves emancipated by the Civil War, and we're having a difficult, but on the whole, successful fight for complete emancipation. But we need to encourage, and we need encouragement from leaders like yourself, and hope that you, from your vantage point and vantage ground in the center of the British Empire, you can send a word to us. We are tremendously interested in the effort of the Indian people to achieve independence and self-government. I am very sincerely yours, W.E.B. Du Bois." Du Bois's final response seems to offer context to his initial request that Gandhi did not understand. As far as my research can discern, this was the last communication to Gandhi by W.E.B. Du Bois. Du Bois was after the independence and self-government of Negro people. It is not clear whether Gandhi ever responded to Du Bois's second request. Gandhi may or may not have known W.E.B. Du Bois, was a pioneering American sociologist, historian, author, civil rights activist. As a co-founder of the NAACP and editor of The Crisis, he was the leading Black protest leader in the 20th century, advocating for full civil rights, political representation, and higher education for Black Americans. And lastly, the first African American to earn a PhD from Harvard University. Du Bois interacted at that point with Howard Thurman. Records show direct communications between them, such as a letter from W.E.B. Du Bois to Howard Thurman dated on September 10, 1935. They sometimes offered contrasting approaches to the same issues. For example, in the 1940s, while Thurman was visiting, guess what? Your university, Vassar College, and promoting a message of nonviolence rooted in religious experience, Du Bois was openly criticizing the same college for its lack of Black student admissions. In 1961, Du Bois noted that the difficulty in categorizing Thurman's ideology, stating, quote, "What Howard Thurman believes, I have not been able to find out." Both were part of a broader group of thinkers alongside figures like A. Philip Randolph, A.J. Muste, that analyzed the social and spiritual condition of Black Americans. And then I write the spirit of the matter, Bishop Tolton, and I apologize for the length of this. Du Bois's corresponding communication with Gandhi was obviously not convincing enough to move the great soul. But Thurman's interaction with Gandhi and the movement of the Great Spirit convinced Gandhi the worth and value of the Negro to civilization and history would be invaluable. What Du Bois clearly missed was the spirit of the matter. Gandhi's first physical encounter with the American Negro seems to be in February of 1936. African-American theologian Howard Thurman met with Gandhi in Bardolia, India, during a pilgrimage of friendship. They discussed a nonviolent resistance, satyagraha, and application to U.S. segregation. This meeting, where Gandhi expressed hope that Black Americans would lead in demonstrating nonviolence, profoundly shaped the U.S. civil rights movement through Thurman's mentorships of leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. During that meeting, Thurman's probative questions for Gandhi were so profound that towards the end of the meeting, Bishop Tolton, Gandhi asked Thurman's wife, would she be willing to sing a few Negro spirituals? And she did. And they joined in. And when the spirituals were over, Mohandas Gandhi said, it is quite possible that he now believes that it will be the American Negro who brings nonviolence to the world. Hence, Dr. King's obsession with Howard Thurman and the Gandhian tradition would lead to the application of trying to convince the consciousness of America that she could change nonviolently. And this series of events led to modern Christian praxis of African Americans and ultimately to the No King's March and every form of nonviolent expression that we have engaged in as Christians. Bishop, That's how I put the story together. And that's what I got for you.
That is comprehensive and complete, dynamic and exciting. Let's start with unpacking this initial interaction between Du Bois and Gandhi. I am not sure if Du Bois actually missed the mark, but I think that Gandhi was in a particular place. And what we actually see is his own evolution as it relates to his response to Du Bois versus his ultimate response to Thurman, the meeting that he had with Thurman, and his ability to see and embrace the religious practice of the Negro and its political implications. Let's just kind of take a look at Gandhi for a moment. As much as he is known for having, delivered India its freedom from the British Empire via his non-violent sensibilities, which were infused into his faith, Gandhi also was struggling with the truth of the internal caste system among his own people. We've got to remember that in India, even today, it is an unspoken caste system, but a caste system that yet exists. It starts with the priest on top, and then you've got kind of the governing class, and then you've got the merchants, and then a mass lower class. But then you have a class of people that they to this day call the untouchables. And a part of what Gandhi struggled with during the early part of his work was that he was preaching nonviolence even to the untouchables. Many interpreted that as a strategy in which he was actually imposing upon them a sensibility of nonviolence to actually reinforce keeping them in their place. So while on one hand, he is driving a liberative effort as it relates to undoing Britain's colonial hold on his nation, he's also struggling with how his very theology also speaks to the freedom of the untouchables within India's internal kind of social stratification. And so I think it's important for us to lift up that tension. And I think that, and this is just a Tolton analysis, I think that his correspondence with Du Bois is very telling because it gets caught up in what Gandhi is internally trying to unpack around how he is convincing the untouchables within this caste system to actually practice nonviolence. And the critique was, of course, that nonviolent sensibility was only reinforcing their being captured by this caste system. I suppose that by the time Du Bois and kind of was in conversation with Thurman, and then Thurman in conversation with Gandhi, that Gandhi himself had begun to evolve, in that he was beginning to understand that as much as he was driving liberation from a colonial effort, he also had a responsibility to speak as a liberator within the social context of his own people. And I believe that when he met with Howard Thurman, he was really making progress in that regard, and he was able to see in the Negroes the untouchables in his own society, and seeing the untouchables, as it were, embrace a non-violent praxis and also fuse that into their religion, their religious systems and thinkings and symbols, which gets beautifully expressed in Negro spirituals, had a profound impact on Gandhi, which is why I think he really came to see a real symbiosis with the struggle of the Negro and the internal struggle of India undoing its own caste system. Ultimately, of course, this led to the possibilities of Gandhi and King being in such relationship that King was actually able to distill, I think, the best from Gandhi, as opposed to distilling what he might have gotten from Gandhi, while Gandhi was still working through how his nonviolent sensibilities actually were healthy and helpful, generative and productive internally within India, as well as it as being a tool of liberation as it relates to pushing back against the British Empire.
When you go to Mass on Sunday morning and go through the 12 stations of the cross, Jesus is going to be on that cross in Catholic churches all around our world. When you go to the Negro church on Sunday morning, there may be a cross, The Christ that we serve has risen, and he's out here helping us fight. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Bishop Joseph Tolton. More we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is in a growing dispute with housing officials over leadership at the Chicago Housing Authority.
It appears that he's trying to undo the work that this board has done and put us back in a position without a CEO.
Johnson says the agency improperly approved a new CEO while board members pushed back, accusing the mayor of trying to install his own pick. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is facing criticism after reports say he removed 2 Black and 2 female officers from a promotion list for a 1-star general. According to reports, senior Army leaders had resisted the move, but the names were ultimately pulled. And a new UCLA poll shows many voters are still undecided in the Los Angeles mayor's race, with 40% saying they have not made a choice. Black Mayor Karen Bass leads the field with 25% support, while the remaining candidates trail behind in single digits as the June 2nd primary approaches. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a rough night Thursday for both of LA's NBA teams. It was really rough for the Lakers, who almost suffered the worst loss in franchise history. The Lakers lost by 43 at Oklahoma City. The worst defeat by a Lakers team is a 49-point loss to Dallas in 2017. On top of that, Luka Doncic hurt his hamstring again. The NBA's leading scorer went down in the third quarter and did not return. The Lakers scheduled an MRI exam for Doncic today. San Antonio gave MVP candidate Victor Wembanyama the night off, and they still dominated the Clippers 118-99. 11 straight win for the Spurs. It's a revenge game tonight in Phoenix for the UCLA women's basketball team in the Final Four. UCLA takes on Texas, the only team to beat the Bruins this season. The Bruins lost to Texas 76-65 on November 26 in a tournament in Las Vegas. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound, the first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse, I can't hear you.
I think I didn't unmute myself, and that happens every now and again. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and it's Good Friday. Our regular guest and co-host, Gina Towns, took the day off, but is still in the studio. While I was in South Carolina burying my father, and last week, as I took a little bit of vacation, she and Dr. Nee Quarterly-Corte held it down. They hosted, and she hosted, our Women's History Celebration this past Monday and today. She confessed to me that she wanted to take a break, and I'm so grateful that she was able to do that. We're also grateful to Bishop Tolton, and in the next hour, Rabbi Stephen Jacobs joins Bishop and me while Gina relaxes behind the scenes. Gina, thank you for everything. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It is blessed to be here on Good Friday.
Bishop, check this out. Gandhi says that I like your Christ, but I do not like your Christians. I like what Jesus of Nazareth stood for. But people over time who would subsequently follow him, I don't care that much for. Recognizing that Jesus was unique in his own space, that his ministry, if you will, the ministry of the stranger, everyone he came into contact with, he was the stranger that offered them a renewed sense of hope, restored their dream, and changed the trajectory of their lives. He was the stranger, if you will. Gandhi identifies with this Christ figure, but not with what the church had become at the hour of his engagement against the backdrop of the British Empire and that movement for liberation in India. In this moment, I'm thinking that this ministry, drawing the attention both of W.B. Du Bois, drawing the attention of Thurman, and ultimately the attention of Martin Luther King Jr., it's a pivotal moment in moving the Black church from a docility and an inaction to a way to confront the empire civilly, nonviolently, with a targeted message towards the conscience, the moral conscience of the nation. Bishop Tolton, it's all yours.
Reverend Albert Kligge was a Black nationalist Christian minister who in 1968 published writings in which he boldly declared that Jesus is the Black Messiah. In response to his declaration, the father of liberation theology, Dr. James Cone, stated that this is not the musing of a distorted mind, but rather the most important Christological statement of our time. And what Cone was saying to us was that he understood Kligge's proposition that in fact Jesus is the Black Messiah, because in order to understand the truth and the purpose of the cross, you had to be someone of Black consciousness, not Black skin. It is not about the color of the epidermis, but it is about a certain consciousness, because the Black experience represented a certain alienation and a certain exploitation, which is the very reason that Jesus went to the cross. We will hear much on Good Friday and on this coming Easter Sunday that lands itself squarely within the zone of atonement theory, which I think is very unfortunate, in that we do not preach the cross in its absolute truthful political context. The Roman Empire did not crucify Jesus because they thought that the cross was salvific or that he was going to bring salvation to the Jewish people or beyond. They crucified him because he was a threat to empire, because he had the ability to collect and quicken the imagination of those that were oppressed. On Palm Sunday, the Jewish people were so excited about his triumphal entry because they perceived that the heir to the throne of David would enter with grandeur and a sense of greatness and a particularly muscular military posture. And instead, he loosed an ordinary donkey. They put clothes on top of the donkey to elevate him, and he rode into the city on the back of a donkey, defying their expectations of a military giant. He came in rather as a humble spiritual giant who said, because of the ways in which he died on the cross, that he was free to identify himself with the least among us. He was free to identify himself with all of those that are oppressed. So when Kligge said that Jesus is the Black Messiah, what he was saying is that Jesus represents the oppressed among us. And when we look at the cross, we should see the oppressed among us suffering because empire has attacked their bodies, their minds, their hearts, and their souls. Empire seeks to bring them to their feet. And in response, the oppressed give up their life and their body. And Jesus is saying, I am free to be identified with all of those that are oppressed. That is the context and the purpose of Calvary. It's not so much about atonement theory, but it is much more so about the liberative message of the cross. The drumbeats of Easter empower the oppressed to tackle and dismantle empire.
Bishop Tolton, when I look up at the cross and see exactly what you just described, and it propels me, if you will, to action on behalf of the oppressed.
Yes.
What of those who look up to the cross and don't see that? They see the European image.
Absolutely. Well, what they see is their personal salvation, the opportunity and capacity for them personally to escape damnation. They see their personal transformation, which allows them access to whatever their understanding of the kingdom of God is. And that understanding is often distorted to mean a life of prosperity on this side of heaven, and then the possibilities of going to heaven because one is individually sanctified and set apart. And that, of course, is what they perceive Jesus is looking for. The communal aspects of salvation, the idea of salvation being a tool of liberation, has been devalued because of the ways in which atonement theory has come to really suffocate the justice out of the cross.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Good Friday with Bishop Tolton. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert. Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency. All over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays. Our regular co-host, Gina Towns, is taking the day off, and I'm particularly grateful that she's allowing me this opportunity on Good Friday to spend it with Bishop Tolton. Bishop Tolton is the founder of the I See Justice Affirming Elders Council, a transnational alliance of African and African American faith leaders, scholars, legal experts, and civil society advocates working alongside Gen Z organizers to challenge the global rise of white Christian nationalism. That's what we're discussing right here on our program on KBLA Talk 1580. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Grace and peace on this blessed Good Friday.
Bishop, I have two final questions for you, both of which are profound and deep, I think. But the final question, I think, is a deep but a softball for you, which I will not give you because I really want the depth of an answer that I know you have. But it is modeled after the first question. When arch segregationists like George Wallace, like Bull Connor, like those who stood in the schoolhouse doors and stood at the water fountains, and the mob that attacked the students at North Carolina A&T on February 1st, 1960, and other mobs that attacked the Freedom Riders, when they looked up at the cross, what did they see?
I believe that they see certainly they see the Christ who overcame his crucifixion. What they see is the military aspects of that they have now imposed on the Messiah. And I think it's really important to be clear that it is the imposition of a militarized posture and capability and perspective and sensibility that is imposed on Jesus imposed on Jesus as he's dying on the cross. What they see is their personal victory over sin, hell, death, and the grave. And what they believe the outcome is that they are now empowered to be soldiers who further pursue this idea of conquest over the rest of the world via a particular theology that always has extraction as its ultimate outcome.
Bishop Tolton, when I reflect upon Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend James Bevel, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Reverend Andrew Young, when I reflect upon Bishop William Barber, when I reflect upon Reverend Al Sharpton, when I reflect on the amazing ministry of my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and when I reflect upon the work that you do throughout our world, Bishop, when you look to the cross, what do you see? What did they see?
I see the women and children and families in Goma and northern Kivu in the eastern horn of the Democratic Republic of the Congo who are suffering, who literally do not have ATMs that are operational for the last 6 months, who still live under a Congolese government that has now been captured by M23, where they are in one of the most wealthy parts, not only of the continent, but of the world, where 75% of the world's coltan deposit is. And now we see Blackwater and other friends of Donald Trump, who, because of the Washington Accord, an agreement between Rwanda, the Congo, and the United States, where now we have Blackwater in the Congo providing security for the mines and essentially looting the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the people of the Congo are some of the poorest in the world. I see the people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo who have been exploited for generations, who are the sons and daughters of Patrice Lumumba, who fought for liberation and was so violently killed. I see those people. I see Muslims in India who are continuously demonized. I see women in Afghanistan who are not allowed to receive a proper education, whose bodies are often captured by the rulers of their society, for whom these bodies are just left for them to do what they want. I see transgender people all over the world who are being scapegoated now by authoritarians who use them as a site of political distraction. I see Black political power and agency in the United States of America. I see the Second Amendment of the Voting Rights Act, which is about to be eviscerated by the U.S. Supreme Court, which completely undermines the gains that we have made during the civil rights movement. I see Donald Trump going to the Supreme Court to undermine birthright citizenship, which is directly connected to the project of Reconstruction. And to diss one is to diss the other. I see the politically and the economically oppressed all over the world. That's what I see when I look at the cross.
And obviously in what you see hope. Bishop Tolton, your final word for this hour.
I absolutely see hope. The Bible says that when the soldiers pierced Jesus in the side, there were two elements that flowed out of his body, water and blood. The blood represents the love of Jesus Christ. For who shall take my life? No one. I lay my life down as a sacrifice. Because God so loved the world, God gave God's only begotten Son. And because the Son so loved the world, the Son thought it not robbery to suffer the death of the cross, that we might receive salvation. I see hope that comes through the love that is exhibited on the cross. But there was also water. Water represents the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the force of Christ that came 50 days after the crucifixion on the day of Pentecost. That water, the Spirit of Christ that came once Christ ascended into the heavens, and 40 days later, the Spirit came. It was represented by that water that flowed out of his body. The water represented the Spirit. What did the Spirit bring? The Spirit brought life, a life where the 120 in the upper room on Pentecost all spoke in the tongues of every language there was on the earth. And those languages were equitable, meaning whether you spoke Swahili or French or Portuguese or Kenya, Rwanda, all languages were equal, all people were equal. There was divine unity across cultures and nationalities. That is the glory of Pentecost. It is the realization of the idea and the ideals of Christianity. So the cross brought hope. The love of God brought personal redemption for us as individuals, and the Spirit of God, which came alive and was released into the atmosphere of the earth, brought the possibilities for unity among all of humankind, despite our differences.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Good Friday on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Bishop and Rabbi Stephen Jacob.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is in a growing dispute with housing officials over leadership at the Chicago Housing Authority.
It appears that he's trying to undo the work that this board has done and put us back in a position without a CEO.
Johnson says the agency improperly approved a new CEO while board members pushed back, accusing the mayor of trying to install his own pick. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is facing criticism after reports say he removed 2 Black and 2 female officers from a promotion list for a 1-star general. According to reports, senior Army leaders had resisted the move, but the names were ultimately pulled. And a new UCLA poll shows many voters are still undecided in the Los Angeles mayor's race, with 40% saying they have not made a choice. Black Mayor Karen Bass leads the field with 25% support, while the remaining candidates trail behind in single digits as the June 2nd primary approaches. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a rough night Thursday for both of LA's NBA teams. It was really rough for the Lakers, who almost suffered the worst loss in franchise history. The Lakers lost by 43 at Oklahoma City. The worst defeat by a Lakers team is a 49-point loss to Dallas in 2017. On top of that, Luka Doncic hurt his hamstring again. The NBA's leading scorer went down in the third quarter and did not return. The Lakers scheduled an MRI exam for Doncic today. San Antonio gave MVP candidate Victor Wembanyama the night off, and they still dominated the Clippers 118-99. 11 straight win for the Spurs. It's a revenge game tonight in Phoenix for the UCLA women's basketball team in the Final Four. UCLA takes on Texas, the only team to beat the Bruins this season. The Bruins lost to Texas 76-65 on November 26 in a tournament in Las Vegas. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect Black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, Black voices, Black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. KBLA Talk 1580. Today is Good Friday. This past Wednesday was the beginning of the Passover. And many of us Christians may not recognize that the Last Supper was actually a Seder dinner in the Jewish tradition. That is, it is the dinner where Jewish people around the world reflect upon how good God had been to them when he allowed plagues destined to change the mind of Pharaoh to, quote, pass over them. And Moses on that occasion turned to his family and wanted for all time that the people of global Jewry, in fact, people all over the world, should remember when God allowed some great evil to pass over our lives. That is the very definition of the Passover. In that particular context, the book of Exodus is certainly written, and it's documented, Bishop Tolton, the story of the Exodus in great detail. But the Jewish people are not the only people in human history who've experienced some form or another of chattel slavery. Certainly African Americans have experienced chattel slavery, except our freedom did not come by divine decree. That is, Moses going to Pharaoh and saying, Pharaoh, let my people go. The Negro's journey to freedom included, but not limited to, 400 years of slavery, the admission of certain states to the Union, including 2 United States senators and members of the House of Representatives, both from free states and slave states, the Missouri Compromise, the California Act, the secession of states from the Union, the commencement of a civil war, the advent of 2 political parties, the Democratic Party of slavery and the Republican Party in Ripon, Wisconsin, the party of Abraham Lincoln, committed to not extending the peculiar institution of slavery to the Western states. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln, and just before that, obviously, the issuance of an Emancipation Proclamation, the addition of a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution, first Reconstruction from 1865 or thereabouts to Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, 100 years nearly of Jim Crow from 1896 to the middle of the 60s. Maybe others can argue from 1867 or the Tilden Hayes Compromise to the 1960s, 100 years. And then from Brown versus the Board of Education to the present, second Reconstruction. Our paths are similar, but they are not the same. Our process out of slavery, thus saith the Lord, God of Israel, let my people go, is a far more complicated path for the Negro in America overcoming constitutional slavery. Slavery between 50 different states and states in the Union that have allowed ongoing discrimination to take place in its various forms, the consequences of the peculiar institution of slavery. Both people enslaved, but 2 different liberation stories. Bishop Tolton.
The relationship between African Americans and Jewish Americans is a relationship that is extraordinarily close to my heart. I grew up in Harlem. I was born in December of 1967, and of course we know that Dr. King was murdered in April of 1968, and your father bore witness to that tragedy. For those of us of my generation, our parents believed that we would be the inheritors of the dream and the promise of the civil rights movement. My mother took up that promise, and it was extraordinarily personal to her. Although we were, again, living in Harlem, well under the poverty line, my father had run off with other women that he was involved with. She was focused on making sure that her son got the very best education possible in New York City. She did some extraordinary things to make sure that I landed in that context. And that meant that I went to school with predominantly Jewish kids. These were not Jewish schools, but they were prep schools that were predominantly Jewish. So there's a piece of my soul that's a little bit of an Ashkenazi Jew in that, again, I was a Black male child on the Upper East Side of Manhattan who came from a particular economic station. My friends, of course, were my friends, but their parents embraced me. Their parents loved me. Their parents covered me. I did not always understand that as a child, but ultimately I came to understand that they were the sons and daughters of the Jews who were standing with African Americans during the civil rights struggle. So I feel and know how our struggles are parallel, and the depth and the intimacy and the promise and potential, as well as how problematic our relationship can be as people.
It's difficult, though. And I say difficult in that both have experienced the peculiar arrangements of chattel slavery.
That's right.
But our post-slavery experiences are fundamentally different. Of course, the Exodus story and the end of slavery for the Jewish community is not the end of the right to self-determination, the right to a homeland, the right to direct its own future. But increasingly, even in our domestic elections, our story is not leading to our ability to be respected on the questions of our self-determination and future. We're seeing that increasingly in the Democratic primaries as the American Israeli Political Action Committee engages in these primaries in ways that I think are deeply troubling. When we come forward on KBLA, Bishop Tolton and I will talk about, one, our respect and love for the traditions that are both Jewish and African American, and where seemingly some of our great differences and divides continue to exist. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward, right here on Jesse Jackson.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Bishop Joseph William Tolton is the president of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa and the diaspora. Bishop Tolton is the founder of IC Justice Affirming Elders Council, a transnational alliance of African and African American faith leaders, scholars, legal experts, and civil society advocates working alongside Generational Z organizers to challenge the global rise of white Christian nationalism. Bishop, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Good Friday.
Bless you, dear brother.
Bishop, over the course of our mutual experiences with chattel slavery, there have been these moments of friction between African Americans and Jewish Americans and people in the diaspora. We're on all sides of what's taking place in the Middle East at this hour. Some people have agreements, some people have disagreements. Is there an opportunity for reconciliation from your perspective, Bishop Tolton?
There is an opportunity for reconciliation, but I'd like for us to be sure that we don't drive past the need to do the hard work of making sure that the relationship between the Jewish and African American communities are just, meaning that we don't just want to celebrate healing without making sure that first we've experienced justice. I lifted up my personal story in the previous segment, one, because I wanted to establish a sense of my own sensitivity to the issues, but also my own credibility, in that I believe that what has happened between the 70s and the 80s, where I was having a very particular experience with the Jewish community, is that the Jewish community was given a question that it had to answer, which was that, do you want to find political refuge among the far religious right who want to use the Jewish story for their own political purposes? And I think that there's been a turn for many Jews, and I think AIPAC sits right there, where they have said yes to that call to embrace a friendship and a relationship and a political solidarity with the far religious right. I think that that is what has interrupted this and corrupted on many levels the relationship between African Americans and Jewish Americans, because in order to have that political solidarity with the far right, it means that Zionism has had to actually now fuse itself with a protection of not just Israel, but a protection of capitalism and a protection of whiteness. And I think that that is where things have gone awry for the relationship between the African American community and the Jewish community. And what AIPAC represents is a willingness to embrace whiteness in a particular way, which has again interrupted their relationship with our community.
Bishop Tolton, the far religious right in Christendom is responsible for some of the most horrific crimes through history of global Jewry. Why now the and relationship?
Well, this is all about political expediency. And this is also about the fact that you have many Jewish Americans who are of a certain economic status, and they have to choose whether or not they're first going to be defenders of the system that delivered their wealth, or whether or not their consciousness is actually going to rebuke that system, which means that there may have to be some material sacrifice on their own. So there is hope, but we really have to answer this question about the conflation of the protection of a corrupted capitalism and how that gets conflated with protecting Israel.
I have to reflect upon much of what you've said, because it is that it is that deep. Let me pivot for a second, if you don't mind, Bishop, to the war in Iran. The President of the United States just a few short days ago spoke to the nation, and many of us, Bishop, don't know who to believe. On the one hand, he says we'll be leaving in just a few weeks. But on the other hand, he's announcing that the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier is on its way to the region. That doesn't sound like we're going to be leaving anytime soon, Bishop.
I thought that the remarks that the president gave just a few nights ago on the war, not only was it demoralizing, but it was remarkably embarrassing for us as a nation. He was tired. He was distracted. He was not coherent. He delivered no new news. He was able to do what only he is able to do, which is to set up 2 points in facts in one sentence that are on a complete collision course with the other. I mean, this is just a remarkable feat. Only an artist can do that. And, you know, we have to consider that a certain form of art. But what is so dangerous here is that clearly what is driving this war is being camouflaged. I think that there are 2 things we've got to discuss. One is the role of the Saudis and the fact that they've given Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, $2 billion for his investment fund. Now, if somebody paid you $2 billion, they kind of own you. And we know that the Saudis are pushing for this war, and Kushner is going back to them looking for more money. So you've got that factor. One of the other factors that's driving this war is you've got the Christian nationalists who believe that according to Ezekiel 38, where a very captivating story is told about the enemies of Israel called Magog and Magog will come from the north and attack Israel. You've got contemporary Christian nationalist preachers who for years interpreted that Gog and Magog are in fact Iran and Russia. So this is very much so a holy war and a holy crusade where Christian nationalists believe that this is an opportunity to protect Israel so that Israel is wholly owned by the Jews and therefore sanctified and sets up the second coming of Jesus Christ. I think that we can't overlook the fact that these really are compelling motives for different factions within Trump's reality, which is driving what's happening with the war. And obviously, his being driven by retribution and laziness has meant that we didn't think things through very well. We don't have an end game. We don't have an answer for what's going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, if the war were to end, we have the nuclear material that's still in Iran that apparently we're going to have drones surveying, but we're not going to actually be able to remove it. We have the Iranians who are controlling the strait. We have Russia that is now getting money back because we've taken off sanctions from Russia. And we have Iran, which has a ruler who's younger, fresher, and probably more violent and potentially corrupt than his father was. We've lost this thing on all sides. And now the president wants $1.5 trillion for the U.S. Army when we've got healthcare being cut, when we have SNAP benefits being cut, when we have Americans who are absolutely embroiled in a crisis of affordability.
Bishop, what did you make of his decision or his statement? I believe in the exact same speech that we can no longer afford Medicare, Medicaid, programs of social uplift, and healthcare. Bishop?
All I can say is that to suggest that that is the truth after you have gutted government agencies, after you have set off an unnecessary war where we're spending $1 billion a day, and now you're asking Congress, and it's a wish list, we know, for $1.5 trillion, a 40% increase in the military budget, it clearly says that these are my priorities. I am set forth, the president is on a very particular ministry driven by dominion. He wants to dominate the world and recreate the world order. And in order to do so, knocking off Iran was very important to that strategy. I think that this is a moment in which the Black church as liberationists, we must confront the dominionist evangelical church in very real and stark terms about the fact that Jesus was for the disenfranchised and the poor. That was the first call of the Christian church. And now we have found ourselves once again as the church of empire, a warmongering nationalist movement that is undergirded by anti-Blackness. This is naked and very public, and I believe only a liberationist message can counter this moment that we're in.
Is that liberationist message to be led by a political party or by an individual? I don't see where that liberationist message meets the road, where the rubber meets the road for a liberationist message amongst the candidates who would be the standard bearers of the resistance seeking the Democratic nomination for president.
First and foremost, it must be critical thinkers of faith. It must be those who are baptized in a Christ consciousness. I think I've said this on air before, that the esteemed and legendary preacher, Reverend Gardner C. Taylor from Brooklyn, New York, one of our greatest and most eloquent speakers, he stated that he believed that it is Black liberationists, it is Black religionists more specifically, who have the antidote to white Christian nationalism because of our very particular experience as an oppressed people. So I do think that not just one prophetic voice in the ways in which we understood Dr. King to be our leader, and for many years, your father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, to be a leader. I certainly believe now we're in a new era where we need a leaderful contingency of liberationist thinkers who are willing to sacrifice their personal gain for the gain of our community. And that as a council of leaders, we have got to set forth on a new course of liberation, bringing a third civil rights movement to our country and to the world.
This request for $1.5 trillion, from my perspective, is so absurd that it is the end of the role of the federal government with respect to basic programs of social uplift and human rights for the balance of our lifetimes. It's essentially done if following our treasury is what we choose to do as opposed to following our hearts. Bishop?
No question about this. And this is all laid out in Project 2025. According to the Heritage Foundation, it is not the role of the government to provide a safety net and to uplift the poor with social programs, but it is in fact the role of the church. Now, and according to their thinking, of course, if in fact the church is responsible for creating the safety net, it means that all of those who will live under it first have to walk through the gates of the theological maze of their particular understanding of the Bible, which is incredibly focused on a very narrow understanding of some social concepts around sexuality, around sexual behavior, around the construction and formation of the family, around adherence to the idea of America as the great empire, the colluding of the cross and the flag. I mean, this is all cooked into the idea that the church provides relief and a safety net, but in order to receive that relief, you've got to kind of be baptized in the particular and peculiar thinking and theology of a very narrow Christian mindset.
So, Bishop, all of these candidates who ran in the Democratic primaries and are running in the Democratic primaries, promising prescription drug price release, promising strengthening Medicare, Medicaid, promising to expand the Affordable Care Act, taking seriously issues of affordability, all is for naught if they do not vote in 2026.
Oh, that's absolutely right. Certainly, because we know with the ways in which Trump has lifted up the idea of the SAVE Act, that he's very committed to making sure that he captures the voting systems of states where the outcomes he doesn't disagree with. I mean, that's the most critical and sinister component of the SAVE Act, which is that if the federal government perceives that there's any issue, as it were, with a state election, that the federal government can come in and seize control of that election. So absolutely, beyond 2026, the idea is we will maintain elections, but those elections will be rigged or easily and totally undermined. And we hear nothing from the white evangelical Christian church rebuking that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Good Friday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Fat Meat Fridays, with our regular co-host, Gina Towns, who's taking a day off. I'm so grateful that Bishop Tolton and others have decided to join us on Good Friday to help, one, think through the theological implications, but also to position our thinking in this critical moment in our faith where we are. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Friends and colleagues of Black Coral Springs, Florida Vice Mayor Nancy Mateo Bowen are gathering for a candlelight vigil to honor her life and legacy.
She was more than a colleague. She was a dear friend, a leader, and a true light in our city.
City leaders say they plan to carry her spirit forward with a peace walk also scheduled in her memory. Black Clayton County, Georgia District Attorney Tasha Mosley is taking steps to address an ethics issue after an assistant prosecutor used AI in a murder case. Mosley issued an apology to the Georgia Supreme Court, acknowledging the concern and emphasizing the importance of maintaining proper legal standards. And former House Speaker Joe Tate, who is Black, has endorsed Arthur Harrington to succeed him in Michigan's 9th District. Harrington, a Black 24-year-old law student, is focusing on taxes, infrastructure, and support for working families ahead of the August primary. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a rough night Thursday for both of LA's NBA teams. It was really rough for the Lakers, who almost suffered the worst loss in franchise history. The Lakers lost by 43 at Oklahoma City. The worst defeat by a Lakers team is a 49-point loss to Dallas in 2017. On top of that, Luka Doncic hurt his hamstring again. The NBA's leading scorer went down in the third quarter and did not return. The Lakers scheduled an MRI exam for Doncic today. San Antonio gave MVP candidate Victor Wembanyama the night off, and they still dominated the Clippers 118-99. 11 straight win for the Spurs. It's a revenge game tonight in Phoenix for the UCLA women's basketball team in the Final Four. UCLA takes on Texas, the only team to beat the Bruins this season. The Bruins lost to Texas 76-65 on November 26 in a tournament in Las Vegas. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guarantee. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Good Friday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and I'm particularly honored that Bishop Joseph William Tolton is our very special guest. Bishop, welcome forward to the show.
Blessings to you on this Good Friday.
Thank you for joining me, Bishop. The $1.5 trillion budget request will almost ensure that people who are running for office between now and November will not be able to pay for even the smallest portion of their dreams from the federal budget. The budget, at least when I left Congress, was under $4 trillion. I think it's somewhere hovering in that general space. The deficit is now exploding with the amount of military spending that the president is engaged in. And I can only imagine the grift that's actually taking place in these contracts over at the Pentagon during this grossly corrupt phase in the history of the United States. What is to be said of Democrats running for office who are not challenging this gross shifting of federal priorities, of the human needs of people, to the military prowess of the President of the United States and his administration?
Well, that would be a terribly missed opportunity. I think that when we look at the successful campaign, and I'll highlight, of course, Mayor Mondami's campaign, he was successful because he was singularly focused on affordability. There were, of course, other issues that he had to address, but it wasn't that he was clever. He was strategic about making sure that every issue, he brought it back to affordability. Whether we're talking about education, he brought it back to affordability. If it was healthcare, he brought it back to affordability. If it was crime, he brought it back to affordability. And that discipline, I think, was extremely important beyond the fact that he himself is a very good salesperson. So I would hope that what the Democrats would see is that they could continue to play that note, but they've now been gifted with a complementary message, which is the president. His priorities are bombing Iran. His priorities are to further the military-industrial complex. And we know that the grifting has just been off of the chains, and certainly a $1.4 trillion budget, a 40% ballooning of the military budget is nothing but an invitation for grifting and for corruption. There's a real opportunity to tie his militarism, his imperial instincts, his lack of sensitivity to the American people's kitchen table needs, the crisis of affordability. These are not separate stories. The Democrats have got to be smart and strategic about how they weave this together into a narrative that is compelling, that is easy to understand, and that hits the American people in a visceral way. This is an opportunity.
Bishop, am I over imagining something if I suggest to you that $1.4 trillion is so grotesque that some significant part of that investment in military wherewithal is likely to end up on the streets of America?
Reframe the question in terms of how that money is able to wind up on the streets of America.
The president of the United States does not need that kind of money to conduct global war in multiple theaters. It just seems to me, Bishop, that a significant amount of that money is about domestic control, that this president is capable of bringing war home to the American people.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And I do think that that's a part of the story. Thank you for lifting that up, that we cannot forget. Currently, let's be clear, the budget for ICE is bigger than I think it almost parallels many European nations' investments in their own military. So this militarization of the country via ICE and via these hyper investments into the U.S. military very much so is about control. It's not just about his imperial meddling. It's that to some degree, but it's also strengthening his capacity to clamp down on and to occupy American cities, both in terms of occupying us during the electoral process, but also occupying American cities around his crusade around immigration, but also policing, in particular, Black and brown bodies. Absolutely, that is a high priority for this president. And this is grotesquely immoral. It is fundamentally unchristian, and there is just no human decency. And I also think it's a grave political miscalculation as well.
My mind is struggling with the idea that at this moment, when my faith is being structured and tempered by the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth and the resurrection of Jesus on Sunday, that on the same day I could pick up a newspaper and see the president of the United States spending $1.5 trillion or proposing a budget of $1.5 trillion to militarize the heavens, to expand theaters around the world, to have a budget for the Immigration's Custom Enforcement Agency that rivals militaries around the world. It is the very empire of Rome at the hour of the crucifixion of Jesus and at the hour of his resurrections. Bishop, do you see the parallels?
Oh, absolutely. This is absolutely that. And the blind side that the Romans had is also his blind side. He does not understand the will of the people, the strength of the will of the people, or the resolve of the people. He absolutely believes, as he said about the war in Iran during his speech the other night, that we are all powerful, we are completely in control. And then on this morning, what we woke up to was that 2 of our pilots were missing. Now, thank God, just 1, because one of our, I believe, F-10s had gone down. Pride goeth before a fall. This is how empires unravel, because there is always a blind spot, and it is in that blind spot that the oppressed can play to bring some form of justice.
I am struck by the irony of it all. The idea that on the one hand, we are calming our faiths for the purposes of realigning our Christian praxis with the divine, with one of the most extraordinary, if not the most extraordinary story in human history, while at the same time, the government's tone deafness to the season that we're in is providing an escalation that probably per capita hasn't been seen since Rome at the hour of the crucifixion of Jesus himself. I mean, the prophets studying war no more. If the culmination of all of these prophecies is Jesus of Nazareth. To love your neighbor as yourself, to love your enemy, to see what's taking place in our world is just not driven by moral consciousness. Bishop?
That is absolutely correct. On the other side of the dream of the Christ was a just world where the lion and the lamb would lay down. On the other side of a Christianity that has been captured by empire is domination, control, and extraction. And obviously not just in the domestic context, but this is meant to have global and imperial implications, which is why we are to some degree in partnership with some of the other major powers around the world in terms of creating a new world order where each of these great powers would actually have its region or its fiefdom that it would control. Unfortunately, when we move into that construction of a world order, for us as people of African descent, it always means that Africa now becomes a chess piece that's up for grabs. And that's never good for the life and the health and the well-being of African people. Just to give this conversation a bit of a Black internationalist lens as well.
It's Good Friday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our guest is Bishop Tolton, whose extraordinary contribution to theology and to social justice cannot be matched. I'm so grateful on Good Friday that he's spending it with us. This coming Sunday is obviously the Easter season, and we juxtapose everything that we've said against the idea and the thought of resurrection. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
What if your rooftop could earn you money every year? With LADWP's Solar Rooftops program, you can get solar panels installed and maintained on your home at no cost and earn up to $900 a year. That's up to $18,000 over 20 years. There are no upfront costs, no credit checks, and no annual fees. Plus, you'll help power Los Angeles with clean local solar energy and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Make your rooftop work for you. Apply today at ladwp.com/solar rooftops.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Friday Just your show, and our very special guest is Bishop Joseph William Tolton. I'm particularly honored the bishop is with us. I do want to state this fact before I ask all of us to be supportive of the bishop's work. In his first term, President Donald Trump proposed a $639 billion defense budget for fiscal year 2018, marking a 10% increase from the previous year. This proposal includes a 2% pay raise for military personnel. Today, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, in his second term, first year and a couple of months, is now proposing a $1.4 trillion military budget, more than doubling the military budget of the cumulative of every president of the United States who's ever served in that position. The level of insanity is mind-boggling and absolutely insane. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show in our final segment for Good Friday.
Blessings to you on this Good Friday.
Bishop Tolton, I'm struggling to find some hope in this because there's a whole new army of Democrats who are trying to regain control of the Congress. They still have general elections that they have to bend their way through. But in some significant measure, I doubt if it'll be 1.4 trillion unless there's a significant pushback by Republicans in the Congress. It is quite possible that this Congress could approve the most grotesque military spending campaign in the history of planet Earth. That grotesque. And I juxtapose that against the backdrop, Bishop Tolton, of this being the high holy season of peace in human consciousness. And I ask for your word of hope and your thoughts in that context. But before I do just that, Bishop, I'll give you a moment to think about that. How can we support your work at the Affirming Ministries?
Please visit IC, the letter I, the letter C, justice.org. That is the website for Interconnected Justice. Join us, become a member, become a person of Black consciousness who supports the network that we are building between Africans and African Americans to confront the global anti-Black intentions of white Christian nationalism. I also am very proud to announce that one of the advisors for the Affirming Elders Council is Reverend Mpofu Tutu, the daughter of Archbishop Desmond Tutu. She has launched a new podcast called Belonging, and you can find a link to Belonging at icjustice.org. We're so very proud of that partnership.
Bishop, at icjustice.org, is there a donate button?
There is a donate button, my brother, and I am remiss for having lifted that up. Yes, bring ye all the tithes to the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. Please click on that donate button when you visit us.
Bishop, help us reconcile this military budget with the high holy season that we find ourselves in. So grateful.
I would like to offer a message of hope today, and I've actually crafted it. So if you would allow me to.
Please, I'm sorry if I tried to narrow it. Please take
No, not at all. Good Friday reminds us of something that the world tries to make us forget. That empire is loud, but it is not ultimate. The Roman Empire believed that it had silenced Jesus. It believed that the cross could end a movement. It believed that public execution could crush public imagination. But what Rome did not understand is this: when you crucify truth, you multiply it. Good Friday is not just about suffering, but it is about exposure. The cross exposed the violence of the empire. It exposed religious leaders who sided with power. It exposed political systems that protect dominance over dignity. And yet it also reveals something stronger than empire. It revealed moral courage. Gandhi understood this. He studied Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and saw it in a blueprint for confronting colonial rule without becoming what you resist. He understood that the power of the oppressed is not the imitation of empire. It is disciplined moral agency. Du Bois understood this. He warned us that the color line and global militarism were intertwined. He knew that Black political agency had to be strategic, thoughtful, and grounded in international solidarity. Howard Thurman understood this. He asked us what Jesus meant to those whose backs were against the wall, and he answered that Jesus stands with those whom the system pushes to the margins. Now let's come to now. We are living in a moment where political money moves aggressively, where outside forces pour resources into political races to shape outcomes, where Black progressive voices often face disproportionate opposition. But here, Brother Jesse, Candidate Jesse, is the hope. Black political agency has never depended on money alone. It is dependent on consciousness, community, and clarity. So on this Good Friday, the disciples saw defeat, but by Sunday, they saw destiny. The cross looked like the end, but it was actually a turning point. So when powerful interests attempt to outspend, outmaneuver, or overwhelm Black political expression, remember this: resurrection movements are not controlled by empire's budget. So on this Easter, Good Friday tells us that systems can crucify bodies, but they cannot crucify truth forever. And what looked like the suppression, even in your own race, I believe, as I can say this to your audience, but also to you, my brother, that was nothing but preparation for your and our what's next.
Somewhere I read that truth crushed to the earth shall rise again.
Oh, yes.
And we've not had a finer example of that on this Good Friday, leading into the Easter season, that offered by Bishop Tolton. Bishop, thank you for being with us today on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Absolutely a blessing to be with you.
So honored and privileged. Give us that website one more time and that donate button, that push right there.
Yes, wwicjustice.org. Please click on donate and click on join us.
I'm so grateful for your participation. And during this resurrection season, let me also encourage those of you to go to the KBLA 1580 website as well. Our organization here at KBLA does need your support to keep our voices independent, to keep our faith clear, so that when we stand up and fight the good fight, we know that not only is God on our side, but we do the heavy work of making sure that we remain personally on God's side. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Good Friday and KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here on KBLA.
1580 Santa Monica.